guys, this is Jenny, and I have unfortunately been away for 2 weeks with my little Thursday TBT series. And this is not a TBT video, but this is just because I have been busy with design team stuff and haven't had a chance to just sort of scrapbook for me. So this is what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to do it really fast. I don't really have a plan, except that I just want to use up some pretty things that I have that are mostly from Dear Lizzie, some crepe paper, and then a bunch of sequins. So real quickly, I'll go through what I have. Here's the photo I want to use of my daughter and this little itty bitty porcelain dog that my aunt sent her that she just fell in love with. And this is a die cut from Ashley Horton. It's from the Cut Shop, which is a great design shop for die cuts, and I cut it out of watercolor paper and watercolored it the other night. Just real messy, sort of kind of from the pajama pants that she has and a lot of the papers and stuff. So that's kind of where I started with some white cardstock. And then the other papers I want to use are this one, or a piece of this one, and this is all from the Dear Lizzie Serendipity. There's another piece I thought about doing some journaling on. I think it goes that way. It's a nice polka dot, but it's not quite the right pink. And then I thought about using this as a paper to mount it all on. So those are the sort of 3 pieces of pattern paper, and then I have lots of little leftovers. These are pretty little studio tags. I thought about using that first one. Maybe not. I did a bunch of sort of die cuts from the 6x6 paper pad, or maybe it was the 12x12 paper pad of Dear Lizzie when I first got it, and these were a couple that were sitting out I thought would go well. This is a gold doily leftover from some of my December daily stuff, and some other gold polka dot vellum leftover. This is the 6x6 paper pad, which I may cut a little bit out of, and I haven't even touched this. I can't believe it. One of those things you had to have, and it's the Open Book by Maggie Holmes rub-ons. So I thought about using some of the gold, or maybe that little flower. These are the sort of, it's sort of the muted kind of gold stickers. I believe they are Dear Lizzie as well. And then this is the Notes and Things stickers, and that I thought might be the title, and maybe that little bird. I don't know, lots of little things. All this sort of goes together with this color palette I've chosen. And, oh, and then I've got these, the sticker roll from that same collection. And I haven't used any of those because I haven't quite found the place to put it. So, basically, I just want to have fun and do something for just me, because I just want to feel creative. And these are the sequins that I pulled out, which I'll never in a million years use this many sequins. But there you go. There's this matte gold, which is really pretty from Neat and Tangled, and then I've got that shinier gold, and I like some of the other, the white and the pink and stuff. So I thought I might try to use some sequins, even though when I use them I only use maybe 2 or 3, and so like I said, I'll never use that many. But I am going to clean up and get ready to go, and hopefully this will go so fast that I could do just a, it won't have to be sped up at all, it'll just be real time. So here we go.
Okay, sadly this did not get made into real-time video. Honestly, it didn't take that long. I mean, it was maybe close to an hour. I did have a really good idea of how I wanted to do it, and I didn't make it too terribly complicated, other than what you're kind of seeing here in just a minute. However, I ended up trimming down that base sheet, the plain white cardstock, too much, and I ended up having to go find another piece to recut because I didn't like how much of the border on the outside was showing, or the sort of my matte paper. But I really just stuck to those little sort of tidbits and just kind of layer those on top. I love that flower die cut, and I didn't want to cover it up too much, so I tried to pick the sort of more of the kind of plain and not as, not as vibrant or not as varied watercolor pieces of it to put my photo on the top of. And I did end up using 2 or 3 of those stickers, so I was happy with that. But I did not use a whole lot of that pattern paper. I had really planned on using that big, large sort of stripe, not chevron, but the one sort of striped arrow that I ended up using it as a background paper. I really wanted to use a big piece of it, and I just liked all the white space, and I really enjoyed having that all there and not really making it too much more complicated. Same thing with the other papers. I loved them, and I didn't really want to see. I was thinking maybe I could use the smaller scale of that in the 6x6, and I think that would have looked great. But I so rarely use as much white space as I did in this layout, mostly because I just find it hard to stop. So somehow I found the will to stop in this video, but I did end up trimming down my paper too much. I think I maybe trimmed it to like a 10 by 10, and or close to that, and it left too much of a border. I wanted the border to be a little small, so I debated layering it on top of this tiny sort of turquoise polka dot, and I didn't like that either. So I went ahead and found another piece of white cardstock and put it on that, which I do here in a minute. So I mean, that's pretty much kind of the way the layout went. I did use these gold photo corners. They've got that whole piece as a sticker on the back of it. They're from Martha Stewart, and they're glittered, and I love them, and I use them a lot in my December daily, but the glitter really comes off, and it just kept getting everywhere. And I love glitter, and I don't mind it coming off, but it really it kind of just started to irritate me because it was really coming off in too much of a onto everything else. So I kind of wanted to make a sort of a triangle with the shinier gold pieces and that doily with those. So that's kind of why I used those there, and to help bring a little bit of your eye over to the left side. So that's the new piece of white cardstock that I cut with just a little piece of the background. I think it's maybe a 1/4 inch on each side. So I maybe cut it to like an 11.5 inch square, or maybe like 11 3/8 to get that a little bit. I used one of those little tiny tags from Pretty Little Studio, and honestly I just loved that die cut, and I loved the way it looked. I really didn't want to cover it up. So I mean, I pretty much just layered the little things that were there on top of each other, and didn't really think about it too much. Honestly, I have no idea why it ended up taking a lot longer than I had debated, other than that one piece of cardstock. But kind of put everything clustered everything together in the way I thought it would go, very lightly with some of that adhesive strip, and then I glued the entire thing down, and I can't remember whether I stitched through it or not. I don't think I did. Normally I would have, but so there, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. And the only reason I did and didn't worry too much about covering up that paper that I loved was because this was from a 12 by 12 paper pack, so there is another piece of that, and then there's the smaller version in the 6x6 pads that I have. So I have a couple other opportunities to use it in a big scale, which I'm sure I will do. That's one of the Dear Lizzie collections are usually one of the ones that I don't really have a hard time going back and using, and finding great ways to use it with current things, even if it's an older collection, because of the color sort of waves, and the color hues are all kind of are all similar. They're not very different hot pinks, they're not very different light pinks, they're not very different whites and sort of creams. That and the crepe paper line, I guess it's maybe just all of the American Crafts, but they're very similar, and they all kind of go together, even though they're different collections or different variations of it. So I'm just using my Zig glue pen to adhere those parts of it, and then adhere the bigger part, I believe, with my ATG. Of course, I believe in either both of them or at least one of them, my tape runner ran out. It might have been closer to the beginning of this, and then I had to replace the HEG at some point. But anyway, so those are the other little pieces I'm adding, and then I do use that gold sticker title sort of from that other side, the "You Are Loved," and I basically adhered it. Oh, I love that little bird, and I had to have it on there somewhere, so I kind of put it like it was sort of sitting on the vellum. So I basically adhere that "You Are Loved" the way they had it, which is sort of diagonal, at least the love part or whatever, and tried to make it kind of curve around that smaller die cut circle of the camera that I had cut. That's in a one of those stitch circles from Lawn Fawn. So I tried to tie that in a little bit. At first I thought it was too much of the gold, and that gold is, there's sort of three different colors of gold. There's the bright, shiny, brassy gold from that from the doily and from the glitter photo corners, and then there's the title of the gold, which is just sort of gold, and then there's the muted kind of gold in the vellum. And so I just decided to, I would just do it the way I wanted to, and I didn't really think too much about it, even though that would kind of drive me up the wall. I did cut, I punched out one of those pieces of the smaller 6x6 pad. They're sort of all the letters of the alphabet, sort of monograms, and they have different little flowers or roses through them. So I punched out the S for my daughter's initial, and her middle name is Rose, so that kind of was the theme for that. I still didn't find a place to use any of those rub-ons. I thought I could, but I don't know, I couldn't justify opening the set for something, a little small itty bitty rub-on. So then I drag out the sequins, and I did use, I don't know, maybe 10 in all. But I think they looked, they looked well with it, and I did use a variety of the sort of that same kind of issue with the gold, the brighter and the not as bright, and that sort of a turquoise color and light pink and white. I love white sequins. They're probably some of my favorite. This one doesn't have as much iridescence in it. I think it was in a set of Studio Calico. I cannot remember the collection, but it was sort of navies, blues, and there's a wood grain one and this white, but the white was very matte. It didn't have a lot of sort of iridescence, so it's kind of hard to see it, even though it would give some texture. So I only used one of those, and I'm just using my I don't have a quick stick or whatever, but I have that little sticky thing from the Silhouette tools, which works just the same to me. So that's what I use to put on sequins. And then I used some of this enamel spray paint that's, I believe, like car model paint or something. I've had it for a while, and I love the way it looks. I mean, it's very metallic. It's not like the mists, but it is so toxic. I mean, the smell of it is just unbelievably strong. So probably shouldn't have been using it in a space that was not ventilated. But anyway, so there you go. I just popped on my photo on Pop Dots, and I believe I used some other splatters in a minute, and then I write my journaling at the bottom, and that is pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching. I am trying to get back to my regular Thursday TBT videos, and hopefully this will be the week that I can get back to that. So I'd love any feedback or comments that you might have, and you can check out my blog that's listed in the link below too for more, and we will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.